We have all the times for questions.
But if I do,
I got you. Yeah, you all the time for questions.
All right, I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. And we got Dan Stokes and Lamontre Randall from Innovation Works. We're going to hear about social entrepreneurship tonight, and we're going to hear about their awesome work in the community of Baltimore City. So take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Greg, for having me and Lamontre. My name is Dan Stokes, and I'm the Enterprise Development Pipeline Manager at Innovation Works. I've been with the organization for a little over 2 years. So I have just some, acclamation there with Innovation Works. Hey, Greg, how do I change the slides? How do I change the slide?
You said that space bar?
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, 1 second. All right, cool. So just what Innovation Works is, sorry. There you go. And this is just our mission and our goal. So our mission of Innovation Works is to reduce Baltimore's neighborhood and racial wealth divide by becoming members of disinvested communities to build and own successful social enterprises that create sustainable neighborhood economies. So when we talk about enterprise, we're thinking of like business. In social innovation, we say enterprises in a sense of business, not in a traditional sense, but a non-traditional sense. As you think of an enterprise and you think of business, you find that, to me, business seems a little bit more structured. And enterprise, to me, is a little bit more compound and it more focuses on impact. And by 2029, this is what our support goal is. So I put this in this slide because this is more of a point of like what's coming next, right? And the more the slides, what we talk about. So our goal by 2029 is to launch 250 enterprises and to employ 5,000 people in Baltimore City. And of course, attract $100 million in capital, which is our goal by 2029. And so this is my role, enterprise development. And for my role as the enterprise development pipeline manager, which I had somebody tell me, that's a lot of stuff, Dan. And it is. And it is. So Innovation Works has a 5-stage pipeline. We have a 5-stage pipeline from early stage to later stage entrepreneurs who we serve. Stage 1 is create stage, ignite stage, which is early stage entrepreneurs. You might have the idea that you want to do something. You might just be walking down the street and a car is driving by and you're like, I want to create impact in some kind of way, right? And so with that car driving by, you could think, they ran the red light. How can I create impact to create some sort of apparatus or something at the light, right? So you have an idea. It's called ideate. I'm ideating. I'm thinking all these things, but I need support and help of how do I formulate this, right? So this is my role of coming in. You talk to me and then giving you some support around that and like through mentorship and things like that. Of course, I'm talking a lot, so I apologize if I talk too fast. Just let me know.
Do you want to have this be like a presentation that then we ask questions for the purposes of your video?
Yeah, perfect. That's fine with me. I like interaction. I'm a stand-up person, so you're good.
You want interaction?
Yeah, sure. Good. Okay. Yeah. Right. So we only serve, and I apologize for not really saying this earlier, as we only serve entrepreneurs in Baltimore City. That's in our mission and that's our goals. And with that, we'll create impact. So if we're, only serving and supporting entrepreneurs in Baltimore City in certain communities and neighborhoods, that will snowball and affect and start some economic, which I'll go through in more of the slides, things for Baltimore City. So I'll push through those slides.
Number of enterprises you're currently working.
Yeah, it's in the slides too. Sorry. I apologize. So when we're talking about like social good in business, right? Looking at to the sense of like support. How do we support these entrepreneurs? Which hailing from Baltimore City, some of these entrepreneurs dropped out of school. Some of them are college students and some of them are post-college students, have graduate or that. So how do we support people? We support people in all these ways. These are pipeline services. We have an educational curriculum, and the curriculum really deep dives into their business. Then we also have like mentorship and funding, as we see these 4 core things at the top. And that's what we focus on. And then it snowballs and breaks down what these offerings have. Mentorship to me, which is, I think, is the most vital thing that we can offer, because it allows someone not only the knowledge from mentors that are like high level mentors in Baltimore City or in Maryland, but access to their social capital, which is extremely vital. Social capital to me, I'm sure we all heard this saying, is it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And that's social capital. We've been talking about it since the 80s, right? And we didn't even know it. So that to me is just something that I always think to me is like the truly potentially like the best thing we can offer. And all these pipeline services breaks down to, business team and management training, business skills development. And Greg is something, of course, that, we've talked, I think we talked about before, but just like business skills development with our entrepreneurs and SEs that hailing from Baltimore City. And just, in a sense of like public school system and the statistics there, right? We don't need to deep dive into it, but we know that what it looks like. And kind of going through the network and our ecosystem and offering all those assistance, access to potential investors and funders. And a great thing that we have as well is we have Ignite Capital. We have a capital stream, which is our subsidiary. And in there, we give out loans. It's a different structured loans at not typical loaning measures like a bank would do. We don't even look at credit scores, which is amazing, right? We don't focus on credit scores. Right. We don't focus on credit scores because it is something could be if someone that's disenfranchised, the issues of Baltimore City. I actually know personally a SC who made over $1 million in revenue last year, went to a bank to get a $20,000 loan and they denied her because her credit score was not up to par. But they didn't even look at how much money she created. How much revenue she had last year and how much revenue she's still getting to this day. Not looking at that. So it's just one of those things, like Ignite Capital is that capital stream and that positive source for our entrepreneurs. And with to that, we do investment readiness training. And our Ignite Capital side, which I thought I should have probably brought her to here today to talk more about investment. Yeah.
Like that innovation works fast. Yeah, so we got a sister company called Ignite Capital, which provides loans with 5% interest or less. Unheard of.
Right.
No credit score. We pretty much go by street credit, right? We know these are the entrepreneurs that we know. We see they are calling us when they're having a hiccup before they call it, right? So all of this is relationship building, and so right now we have a 0% default.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah, and we help. And so this program sort of has been a support mechanism for a lot of folks. So say for instance, entrepreneur dealing with the school system. I don't know if y'all know about Baltimore City school system. They have a policy called Net 30. Yeah. And you're supposed to get paid 30 days after you do something. But
right.
you never get paid 30 days after. A lot of times you have to wait 9 months to a year. So that was hurt a lot of entrepreneurs. So with this, we able to help float capital. We can also serve as advocates to help money move faster because we got different relationships.
So far, I think the one we did like $150,000. But average to me so far has been like 25K, 50K, things like that. Nothing. Correct. Right. More like bridging for sure.
Yeah, and we got different ways in which people can invest as well. We try to build that out so local community members can invest. We partner with different foundations to where if anybody did default, they help with recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you work with the individual SEs and they're like, I'm having a rough month and I have this loan payment due, you give them an extension.
So that's why they have mentors, right? So a lot of times we see it coming before they do.
Yeah.
Because they go through our different programs, they talk to their mentors, we know everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely so answer to your question that we do. We actually have somebody right now who's like trying to figure out a strategy of how to pay back. So it's kind of like going through the strategies of how to pay back. Also, connecting with them with their mentor or just like another like advocate or advisor that can really guide them and really break down their financials of like how to create the best paying back strategy and like increase traction of like other revenues. Because if it's like product based, it's like, okay, is marketing an issue for you? Like, what is it that's truly why you're not getting your sales or something like that? And sometimes like social issues too. So it could be like, let's, extend out a little bit more, give you some wiggle room. So.
Let you get your family together, just had it down, stuff happens.
Right.
So now you start get back together. Yeah.
Right. For sure. And so this is like kind of like what we just talked about a little bit. When it's
You sit on the board for the grant side.
Oh yeah, I was with a micro grant. So we also offer a micro grant. And a micro grant is up to $10,000 for your lifespan at Innovation Works. So which is really cool because you don't have to pay it back and it's a grant. So it looks different from Ignite Capital, which is a loan. Our micro grant is just it's a grant. It could be for like to prototype something. It's not truly to buy something, but you can rent something to test out. It could be, I want to see if this table works, the table I'm building, is it working or something like that, it's anything. So it's just something to prototype and it's up to $10,000 and you write a proposal to us and, we kind of break it down. I always tell people don't go for the whole 10K if you don't need it because it's for the lifetime that you're with Innovation Works. So if you're planning to be in our pipeline for 3, 5, 6, 10 years, give yourself some time. And also as your business grows, your need grows. Different things grow. And so you always want a prototype thing because I always tell people if you have one product, that's just your foundation. Because I'm sure how your mind works as an entrepreneur, you want to keep going and growing and scaling. So always have that like kind of like comfort and wiggle room when it comes to that micro grant. But this is right here is kind of like our support strategy of what does impact look like. And as I talked about earlier, like that pipeline support, which lies right here in that support mechanism right here, where it's like network, mentors, our education, which we have 2 cohorts that we do. One is called the Accelerator and one is called Boost. The Accelerator is 6 months and Boost is 4 days. Yeah, it's a different, right. But these cohorts really allow people to deep dive into their business, go over different business models. Boost really talks about heavily of your financial model and really breaks down your social impact model, which is something that a lot of social entrepreneurs really can't define yet. Or just they know they want to create impact, but they don't know how to create impact or what should I do. And I think at Boost, to me, which we have one coming up in 2 weeks, is the best thing when I hear an entrepreneur like, hey, yo, Dan, I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm like, yeah. So like really getting that like true understanding of what social entrepreneurship is. And like, even though I want to be an entrepreneur, I can still create impact and do good in Baltimore City or in the nation. So, and with all that support, it kind of creates that impact part. And then that's when we're pushing into like our social enterprises, going to the more economic growth in Baltimore City, economic inclusion in Baltimore City, and like the community as well, and overall quality of life. And that's something too, as we look at this year, our strategic plan dropped, and we're kind of focused on that whole person support. Because what we find is that entrepreneurs, like we just talked about, have a lot of social issues as well. And we don't want to be that type of organization. We're only focused on your business. Like, we don't care how you're doing. Like, we don't care about those things, but just really focus on the whole person. So we actually have a SC retreat coming up in June, and we're literally taking our SCs to Eastern Shore for free, have a good time. And we're going to have like some yoga, maybe some meditation, and just like some focus on just the person, just your being, right? And I think that's something that's like unique for us because we really need to focus more on entrepreneurs in itself. And if we're looking at SCs in Baltimore City, it's a lot of issues and trauma in Baltimore City that a lot of our SCs are trying to fix. We have a lot of SCs that are focused on youth development or just how to change their community, how to reduce food deserts in Baltimore City. That's a very stressful task to try to take on. It's something that's been going on for years, right? And so just trying to like think about the whole person of the SC. Correct. Correct, right. It's always networks and like our ecosystem. And like one thing we don't do, and I always talk about SC to SCs with, and I'm sure Lamontre does and other staff, is like we don't work in silos. Like it's not happening. And creating different groups, like I just created a SC health peer advisory group for healthcare. And that is kind of like we're going to aggregate demand for like university systems in Baltimore City of like how to get these SCs that are having, a lot of revenue and creating a lot of good work and impact. How can we push them into more of like the private space of university settings of like hospitals and things like that, or insurance companies like private, institutions. So that's just one of those things that, we're doing and what we're striving for is that whole person of support, which pushes quality of life for not only the SCs, but the community members, as well as whoever they serve as well.
You aim they're not like the loser down the street. They're not the incarcerated, formerly incarcerated.
Right.
Giving them, whoever they are, whatever. A positive link, calling them that they can, this gets to the imposter syndrome idea, you're giving them a positive link, calling them social.
Yeah, it's value, right? And I think it's something too, like it's value in language and like labeling, and I think just to have somebody like when I'm at, Boost and someone's like, I'm a social life support. Like, yeah, you are. Like, it's just feeling valued. And it's like SCs to me, like a lot of them, I deal with everyone on the pipeline. So like all the SCs I deal with is kind of like just create that value for them. And like the language I think is very important. And this slide is actually what the other slide was, which is more fancier slide. But I just kind of like this slide, but I like yeah. But it really breaks down the pipeline in the middle. And so how it floods into that. So we have the neighborhood strategy, which is Lamontre's position, the SC development pipeline, which is my position as well, strategic initiatives, which is something that we're kind of leaning away from. But this is how our pipeline looks. We have Ignite, Ideate, which I talked about. And then we have the create stage where folks are like creating their business. Like, okay, I'm going to get my LLC. I'm going to create my business plan. And you're ready to operate. And then growing and scaling is like, I already got it. Like, I'm operating. I got some traction. Now I'm trying to grow. And then like scaling is, for instance, scaling looks like Meet the Mushroom. I don't know if you're familiar with Meet the Mushroom. They were just on Shark Tank. And they're one of our SCs, and their product is a vegan product. It's mushroom bacon, which is really good. It's
just like bacon.
It tastes just like bacon. Yeah. So, well, Eddie's used to sell it. Eddie's is gone. But it is I think it's in Whole Foods. It's in a couple other places, but Meet the Mushroom.
You look on their website, they got all the locations.
Yeah, all their new locations. They are Baltimore based. They were just on Shark Tank, so that's pretty cool. But it looks like them. So now, after being from Shark Tank, what's going to happen? Exactly. How can I do this? Like if I'm working here in this little manufacturing space in like Park Heights or something, how can I scale and to meet all my orders? So that's what scaling looks like. And that's how also we support SCs on the Ignite Capital side too. Sometimes it's just somebody that might need a loan for purchase orders to fulfill the purchase orders. So thank you for the donors and the funders that push us through. Private, at times federal, but that's pretty much how it happens. Our founder is Frank Knott. I don't know if you're familiar with the Knott family in Baltimore. Yeah, so he's actually our founder. So he started Innovation Works. He also had backing from the Jesuits that offered, I think, significant amount of capital to kind of start us. And they also kind of bring a yearly like amount, to sustain us a little bit. But Frank's social capital in itself and just probably doing some legwork financially and getting some funders and donors is really truly what's kicking us up. We do have a director of development as well, kind of helping sustain us. And
The thing about the social entrepreneur title is that it shows like how much harder it is for the person than an entrepreneur. Because an entrepreneur like wants to make money.
straight up.
Right? And then the social entrepreneur is like trying to make money and trying to make the world better.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And one thing too about our services that they're all free. So that's always think I was like, so it means like it's like really is it?
Like, money is one measure, but. Right.
I'm laughing because you were a health.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, health policy, but you're really, in my view of it, you're adding so much more than the money that people are generating, because the social good is of value to
Mhm.
the community. And figuring out some way to measure that, and you may have already figured it out, I don't know.
Yeah, so we do measure impact in a way of like community impact. We measure like who are they hiring, if they're hiring folks from Baltimore and what community in Baltimore, like zip codes. Even on the Ignite Capital side, we do not give loans out to people that don't have the impact at all for Baltimore City. So we kind of like structure in a way and like what after like for a micro grant, after we give somebody $5,000, what impact was created out that $5,000? And also like on top of that, the impact that was created on top of that impact was created. Like, how do we, like, we do track that. We have like our own set of metrics and things like that.
But yeah, you pretty much mentioned it, that all
Yeah.
those different measures.
It's like a
measures
stack.
of community.
True.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is one of like that's one of our 10-year goals, kind of like the snowball with the 29 was it looks like. So our goal is to have 5,000 ideas engaged, which is like SCs having like some crazy ideas, which they have ideas all the time. But these are all like 10-year goals, and through that, be 6 SCs, 37 SCs, and like these pipeline stages. Currently, right now, we have 158 SCs in our pipeline. Majority of those SCs live in that create stage. But majority of the SCs live in the create stage because of like our cohorts. And also just folks that's operating, but not truly ready in that space of like growing or like scaling sustainably. So it's create stage kind of a lot of people live there because of like the sustainability and not truly understanding, or might need in some mentorship and advisement on like how to grow or something like that.
Working part-time and so.
Working part-time, yeah.
Facing all these different social barriers, right? But still
Yeah.
trying to make a way. Right?
Yeah.
So.
That's the truth. And this is Lamontre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got another slide in there too. So
So, you know, when Dan was going through, you probably saw the neighborhood strategy piece as one of the core things that kind of lays everything out. So it really starts with community and ends with community, right? So I'm Lamontre Randall, neighborhood strategy manager. I'm from Baltimore, East Baltimore, born and raised. Went to Baltimore City College High School, the best high school in the city.
My dad graduated from there, my daughter did teach math there. Oh, see.
Good.
City forever.
Right. Oh gosh.
Yeah, went to University of Maryland College Park, and there at University of Maryland College Park, I got falsely accused of armed robbery on campus. And what happened during that event, I used to have this thing on my wall, and it was big whiteboard, and it was get my family out of the hood. But once that incident happened, I recognized that we have to go into our community and help change it. So it changed from getting my family out of the hood to investing in the good, put the neighbor back in the hood. And that goes with the neighborhood strategy. When I first got back into Baltimore, it was really about pushing for entrepreneurship. I was one of the consultants with One B for J. It was Obama administration. And we were a team of Black consultants that was on the ground figuring out how can we better workforce development in Baltimore City. Once we talked to the young people, we recognized that all of them wanted to start businesses. But at that time, 10 years ago, the city just wasn't ready to have that conversation. It was strong to talk about entrepreneurship. So it was my goal to start a consulting firm to push for more entrepreneurship and help other folks grow their businesses.
Was it from the community members themselves or external?
When you say,
Well, you said it was entrepreneurship was frowned upon. Was it self-frowned?
from foundations,
Oh, okay.
foundations, government
They didn't
leaders,
think
they think not.
residents could do this, it was just.
It was like work for the government, calling it that.
Uh-huh.
Entrepreneurship just wasn't a thing within the community, really. People had businesses, but it wasn't something that was hyped up. It definitely the term social entrepreneurship wasn't in the conversation, right?
So this is related, and just because we have this debate here a lot, not openly, but sometimes with students who come in here from not privileged backgrounds, the belief is that these kids just need a job, you just need to give them job skills. And there's another side to it, well, we want them to enable them to compete, not just get a job.
Right.
Churn through and never achieve beyond the job. So it's kind of like you're talking
You're
about.
talking about exactly how it is, yes.
Exactly.
Yes,
This
we're on the
kind of-
same page.
Exactly.
So during that time, 10 years ago, it was job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was no talk about entrepreneurship. I'm talking about now the social economic conference, right? That Coppin is doing. So and that's a big foundation is supporting that. But during that time, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's when I started my consulting firm. I was a full-time entrepreneur for about 10 years. We talked about Baltimore City School. They was one of my big clients. I was supposed to doing a lot of mentoring, and I had a contract. It's supposed to be net 30, and I ended up waiting a whole year for the check. I still had to pay staff, right? Still got to do other things. Still had bills of my own. I had to choose between making sure a roof is over my family head or letting the contract go. Of course, I chose the contract, right? And so, but that is also when I recognized, that's when I was already doing the work, and someone told me about Innovation Works. And I was like, okay. They was like, you already doing the work. You already doing this type of stuff. And so that's when it was like a match made, right? So as a neighborhood strategy manager, my main thing is going into the community, especially disinvested communities, figuring out what is needed within the community. My job, it really varies in who I talk to, right? I maybe talk to a developer that is building a big space and want to put entrepreneurs in, or I maybe talk to an entrepreneur that's already doing that thing, or an entrepreneur that's trying to think of something to bring into the city, right? Or I'm talking to a community association that's saying, hey, we got a lot of young children, but we have no daycares. So connecting them with daycare resources that we already got in our pipeline, right? So it really varies. It really varies. But the main thing is that we believe is if we focus in locally and we able to measure that and put all our resources into that, then we can really help the city grow and help with the racial wealth divide. Right? Right now, our areas that we're focusing on is West Baltimore. So we talk about pretty much the West North Avenue Development Authority corridor, which goes from pretty much Micah on up to West Baltimore, right? And then Southwest Partnership area, which is Southwest Baltimore. You kind of mentioned Paytown, right? Some of that. Then also Black Arts District, which is right there up there north. Then we go to South Baltimore, where we doing work with Cherry Hill, partnering with Cherry Hill Strong, and trying to build within that community. And what else? Southwest, Cherry Hill. Yeah, that's pretty much our main functions. But so they are anchor institutions,
Hubs.
Anchor neighborhood, anchor areas. So then we also are working in other areas as well. where we kind of serve as, I don't want to say one-off support, because it is continued support, but they may have a specific thing, so like Park Heights. So we're helping support Park Heights, partnering with Park Heights Renaissance to help build our curriculum for the residents and community association leaders in that area, right? And a lot of people, you know, one of the beautiful things is a lot of people is like, you know, as we talk to these community association leaders or community organizers, Maryland has one of the most nonprofits in the city, right? I mean, in the country, one of them. And what we try to help people recognize too is because you want to do social good, don't always mean a nonprofit is really what you need every time, right? And then we also got to train the community members and recognizing like just because you're doing a nonprofit don't mean you don't see no profit. Right. I mean, you can't be sustainable, you know, and so helping them think through.
Well, here's a saying for you that I heard about it through nonprofit hospital. No profit, no mission, no margin.
No mission, no margin, no mission.
If you don't make any money, then you can't do what you want to do, your mission.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so we push for sustainability. Yeah. Within all the businesses that we work with. And so, you know, I'll give you a quick story. When we look at organizations, you know, like Park Heights, right? Within Park Heights, we got different community associations. It takes some time to help train the association. Like, hey, this is a business. You need to operate like this. And the reason why is so you can be sustainable. And the only way you can, this organization can live past you is if you create some sort of sustainability behind it, right? And so that's pretty much our main goal, our main focus when we do a lot of our work.
This is such a great picture just of Baltimore because I feel like there's so much to this picture in terms of like, those are gorgeous houses. You know what I mean?
And street,
The brick street, like that's no joke. Like no one would build that today.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, no, not at all.
If you guys were in Georgetown or something, it'd be millions of
dollars for sure.
So much, and it's just such a great illustration of disinvestment and sort of like, the artificial, you know, sort of thought that people have about different neighborhoods and different buildings and stuff. Can I ask a question about, so you mentioned
Excellent question.
Park Heights, I think is a really cool area of the city. I think that has so much potential. I think Forest Park, Park Heights, like all of those places have so much potential. How is it that, or like, is that something that Innovation Works is looking at from like a holistic perspective? Meaning, when you go to Park Heights, is it you're talking to Park Heights as let's make Park Heights a center, or do you ever talk to SEs and say things like, you know what, maybe you want to relocate to Park Heights?
Yes, so that is one of the things.
Okay.
So when we talk about neighborhood strategy, I kind of gave that daycare reference, right? But we don't tell them what they need.
Okay.
That's kind of rude helicopter approach. So we, like we mentioned, Park Heights Renaissance,
Right.
Cherry Hill Strong, Southwest partnerships. We figure out those anchor institutions, had them meet, talk to community members. They are already should be talked to the community members, and they kind of gather what needs to happen, and we kind of service that. So I would say we service more so.
Have you heard of I'm just looking at this community development fellowships here at the University of Baltimore? It's out of the College of Public Affairs, and what it is they have money to have students work with neighborhood associations in the city. So the neighborhood association doesn't have to pay anything, but they get a student who is training in all sorts of different areas. So it could be anything from a business student to a public policy student to a communications and marketing kind of student who can do web design, things like that. So the next gen, and it is fully funded and
That'll be good.
So
We always looking for.
we need to connect you with that.
Yeah,
Because
for
you're
sure.
a great organization.
Yeah, because it's I would say a lot of we talk about silos again, right? There's so many different resources out there, but a lot of times everybody want to hold it.
It's just not.
Right?
Or there's like competing about like two competing silos that are like, hey, if we work together on this.
More than twice. What?
Yeah, because there's like the Wacomico building, down in Southwest Baltimore.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they have
That's easy.
We put some S's in
Okay,
there. We got
yeah,
some S's in
and
there.
are they doing like textile or apparel or something?
So Bromo was in there.
Yeah. Oh, so
Chester
was one of yours.
Chester France is in there as
Okay.
well. Dante Grass is in there.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay.
Uh,
So
Dent Education.
and then you've got 27th Street up here, like towards 27th and like Maryland.
Where?
Actually, it's more east than that. You have another little like pocket of like fashion and apparel kinds of stuff, and it's like we all just kind of work together.
That's the goal, is just kind of understanding like how can we break out these silos. If we work together, we can be the fashion designer place of Baltimore City, of like Maryland, of the world. Like you never know. You could be the hub, the fashion hub. But it's like everyone, I think, sometimes wants to work in these silos because of like maybe profit or just like whatever money might be coming to Baltimore, or just a lot, something. It's just literally competition. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at we have this thing, right, where all these different nonprofits, right? Some of the nonprofits are all trying to get money from the same foundation.
Right.
Same grants.
The same
And they got the same, so it's sort of that thing going on too, right? And so having people think like, okay, we could make more impact if we collaborate. It's something we've been pushing for. It's something we've been striving for as much as we can, but it's just sometimes it's hard getting help people out there.
And I don't think that's fair to put that on the SEs either. Like I think that I think that it's like above the SEs.
It
is. I think it's the neighborhood associations. I think it's the different sort of. It's like you guys are fantastic at shepherding people to different places, and you're giving them opportunities to network. So it's like you're giving them meeting place, but I feel like there's entrenched organizations that don't want to collaborate.
Oh, it's true.
That is my experience.
It's true.
You're right. Putting stuff here in the city is that there are groups that
it is.
will not collaborate.
Associations, so we I talk about talking to neighborhood associations, right? In some neighborhood associations, in some areas that we aren't at or not paying attention to strategically, because that association / organization is hoarding all the resources and not trying to share. And so you see that constantly, but that's why we picked out these specific areas.
Cool.
But it actually hurts the community more than
it hurts the community a lot. We see it time and time again. So
they collect power.
Right? Yeah, that's what it is.
But when that person dies, there ain't no the resources.
One thing I want to just say, like, kind of piggyback on like Park Heights, but it's funny to me sometimes when I think about Park Heights, how like media portrays Park Heights, but people don't really realize like huge manufacturers in Park Heights, like Wild Bay is in Park Heights, manufacturing. Right,
like the best turkey all over. Like
exactly,
they make the lunch meat there
in Park Heights. And also another one of our SCs, Farmer Chippy, Plantation Park Heights, has a farm there.
Oh, cool.
And he's doing great work in Park Heights and has like been recognized nationally. And it's like, it's so much stuff that's happening in Park Heights, but like, you really don't see it in a media sense. And I think it's so disheartening because so much people in Baltimore are doing such great work in all these communities, but we don't hear about it. We hear all the bad, but like, we don't hear the good. And it's like more of like social good. Like, how do we keep driving this on top of like just impact and like in our social entrepreneurs, but like how can we change what the scope is, or like the media is portraying of like Baltimore? Like how do we do that?
Are you guys familiar with PHINIA, the Baltimore Neighborhood Indicator Alliance?
Yeah. We're partners with them. So
you are.
We have a thing called Community Dialogue that simplifies the vendor data.
Oh, cool.
And kind of makes it we trying to make it more relevant within the community. We was really focused a lot on the community guideposts when Seema was there.
Yeah, Seema, that was like 2 years ago.
She left. Yeah. So that sort of.
Have you met the new person?
I haven't, Jada.
Our CEO, he's on our CEO, sorry.
But we're working on rebuilding that relationship and figuring out how can we really help create more impact with that. But the goal was people can go into the community guidepost, still exists now. And they can type in their address and they can click on whatever data point they need. And we were hoping they will use it so they can go talk to their politician or maybe go raise some money, resources to support their community area, right? So different things like that. Maybe businesses will use it so they can know about their customer before they enter within the community. They can know about the different challenges that they have about things.
Right.
Sound of research, sure.
Yeah, because again, Forest Park Heights.
Yeah.
Like let's forget about the disinvestment. Let's forget about the media portrayal. They're really nice spaces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like they are really nice spaces that have had these things happen to them. But one of the problems that Binio always talked about, or one of the sort of findings, was that there's nowhere for people to work and get to from those neighborhoods. You know, like that's part of the neighborhood thing too. That's why I think social entrepreneurship is great, because you know, if you have 10 or 15 social entrepreneurs in a square mile, like no one needs to go anywhere until they scale up. And if they scale up in their neighborhood, now all of a sudden there's more opportunities, right, for people. Or they don't have to go either. Maybe their business doesn't require massive, you know, footprints, but just they're such great spaces. You know?
Great spaces.
It's
for sure.
It kills me.
Yeah, so this is kind of our last slide. This is like our milestones to date.
This is what stuff I love. This is like your
Yeah. This is our like pretty much our impact as of March 2023. Our annual report just got released. So these numbers are going to change to higher measures. Currently in our mentor network is over 100 and some mentors, which are like high level advisors from Baltimore City. We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have entrepreneurs that have owned businesses that have valuation of over $5 million, $10 million. So different mentors and like different like sector-based backgrounds. We have all those mentors in our network. And these right here is that number at the bottom is what mentors rated our boost experience was for 4.8. And so right here is kind of like those Ignite hubs and those partnerships through neighborhoods what Lamontre was talking about. And right here at the bottom is our IW supported enterprises, which is, believe it or not, that number is probably going to shift to 71% of women-led organizations in our pipeline. Majority of them are Black women, and 63% are POC-led, BIPOC-led. Yeah, I did say that. Yeah, it was the SC when I walked in, and she's like, I'm like, why is so many innovation works people coming here? And I'm like, it's only me and one other person, but you know, it's just good to see that type of, you know, we have a relationship in the community, and like to where sometimes where I walk anywhere, I was at 83 Farmers Market on Sunday, and somebody, Dan, hey, and I'm like, oh hey, like you know, hey, I'm like, are you here? She's like, no. I'm like, oh, well, I need your chapstick. So I need it. Yeah. You know, so it's just really good to see that community is being built in Baltimore. And like just seeing our actual impact. And so right now it's kind of like our top 5 categories last year, which is going to shift a little bit this year. I think instead of 4 being product-based, it's probably going to move up to 3. Food access might move up to 2, and real estate might stay where it's at. But all the time, we always realize our top category all the time is community development. And like I said, it's a lot of SCs that want to fix the problem in their community through youth development, through community development. It looks different ways. And so through who we served is, so far we served over 300 SCs. Wow. It kind of what I said, the active number, which is active. And our boost measures and our program participants in boost. And boost is a really, really good program. I literally tell everybody just to come check a boost out if you can. Yeah, it's a short one. So the accelerator is actually online for 6 months. I did not mention that we have a partnership with the Miller Center of Santa Clara University. So a lot of our curriculum comes from them, and we kind of have a good partnership with their accelerator and our boost cohort programs. But the boost, I feel like, is a great 4 day. A lot of people say it's like they got their MBA in 4 days. It's really intensive, but it really allows you to deep dive into your business and really to execute like your executive summary. Some people have an executive summary that's like two paragraphs. That's too much. So like how to really have a good, business plan, a good business, just in your business model, your social impact model. Also, we go through financials. And when that comes out in the modules, the room gets really quiet. You can feel the tension. But it's one of those cohorts that offers a lot in a small time frame. So it does allow for the person to really understand their business better and like really help in true, like, I guess, digest the sustainability of their business too. Because I've had people do boosts and like, you know what, Dan, this ain't working out. This business is not for me. It's not sustainable. And they understand it. So that's good because that's what you really want. You want that. We don't always want to have a business where it's not sustainable because we're just going to be on a treadmill, just running and running, going nowhere, chasing after grants, chasing after this or whatever.
And I tell people that it's really important for folks. We got a lot of entrepreneurs that just always on the grind. It's the opportunity instead of you working in your business, you work on your business.
Yeah.
Right?
So Q&A.
Yeah. Questions. So, one, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. This is so cool. Hey, no, what?
We got YouTube.
We got a way to connect with more people.
Whatever. Do they work with same work with?
Yeah, Henry. Yeah. I just on the phone with Henry.
And I'll connect you with the community development fellow. It's in a different college, but you don't want to.
Yeah. Just with the next gen program, you have to start. Cover about next gen.
Yeah, community development.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have my cards. I can.
Okay, yeah. So those and then the other thing that we can always, so my question actually is that with the report that we have written and we sent to you and we found out some things that entrepreneurs are interested in or need more info about, what are some things that we can do to help? So, you already working with a partnership on that curriculum stuff,
Right.
but a lot of the, we focus on information needs, we focus on technology. What kinds of things is it that a place like UBalt can do to help the entrepreneurs that isn't necessarily, and what I'm saying is not be entrepreneurs, but like those other skills you talked about? I mean, well, yeah, those other skills.
It's funny because like me and Henry just had this conversation today.
You and Henry did?
Yeah. And it's kind of about like a lot of business acumen, right? And it's how do we kind of build that in a professional sense? Because we have, like Lamontre's like, people have the hustle, right? We have some people have the talent, they're hard workers, but how do we change that to someone that's like coachable, that has that business acumen? And it's like, how do we educate somebody with that too? So that's like, that to me is like the biggest thing, is kind of like what I talked to Henry about, of like his new project of like maybe giving out the business certificate. I don't know if he talked to you about that. Yeah. So it's just kind of how we can strategize and educating and like for SE to be coachable. Because like everyone has the hustle. Like we have the hustle. That you can't hustle but so much. Like you have to know, how can I walk in this room and how to talk? The language, right? If I'm talking to investors, how I'm gonna talk, like what do I need to say, or like the language piece of it. And I mean, I've had SCs that's like, just struggling with that, or just certain content and language that like in Boost they like coming across. So it's like, I think that might be just kind of in a term, football term, of like back to the basics, straight up fundamentals. And I that's what it is. It's just like the need of fundamentals, because so many SCs, like the woman in I'm sure it's a woman right now that probably sold water cups, ice cups. They call ice cups, right? Ice cups in the city. Everybody knows on one block it's the woman that's the candy woman, right? Or she's selling ice cups. That's an entrepreneur. Does she have business acumen? No, but she has the hustle and she has the hard work, right? So it's like, how can we, do that? Freeze cups. That's what it's. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm not from Baltimore.
Yeah, it's like this juice, frozen juice, and you pretty much scoop it up. It's like
A freeze cup.
It's like
bro, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's a city thing. I'm not from city. Yeah. So I mean, like that to me, I think is the fundamentals is so important. We have like our early stage entrepreneurs is kind of like what our focus point is for the strategic initiative this year. I'm sorry, our strategic plan this year is kind of like really building out true support for early stage entrepreneurs. Because it seemed like they're always left out. Because we always focus on like, oh, traction, oh, profit. Like, we're focused on the later stage SEs, but I feel like sometimes the early stage SEs always get.
And that's what our program called foundations. We tested it out, beta tested, we run beta tested again. And probably offer to where we kind of focus on those folks that's kind of like in this IDA before the create stage, right? Really getting back to business.
Yeah.
And really open their hand as they go through.
Yeah. It's a lot of social components to it. Like it really is. I've had I always joke sometimes with the staff of like, I'm like a therapist, a case manager, and everything. And I'm like, I think it's just like my natural nature too. But like I've had SCs that got evicted but they're like still showing up for a meeting with me. And like we have to process that for a minute. Or SCs that are just like, I can't do a sale because my son got killed in the street. So it's just like different stuff that happens. And it's so much social components that come to it. And I'm like, we'll never get rid of the social stuff, right? I mean, hopefully, like some stuff we just really can't get rid of. But it's like that part of like being a case manager. Like you have to be all those things for all these people. And no matter what stage. Yeah. And I see all of them. So it's definitely like creating a safe space. If UB could just have a safe space where just like SEs to drop in and like do work or something like that, not being.
We're creating it.
We're creating it.
We have no office, but we still with city partners. So we're gonna get the factory in South Baltimore.
You are.
Yeah, it's right across the street from Southwest Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's currently being built.
The entrepreneur center is for. It's for those kind of things, like for people. They don't have to be students. They don't have to be, major business. Like it has. I mean, not to speak for them, but I mean that's kind of stuff that Kurt Schmoke, our president, often says that we're the University of Baltimore for Baltimore.
For Baltimore, yeah.
And so that's the kind of stuff that I feel like we could.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was for. I thought it was just for students. Like, this is first news to me.
Well, now I think we have to go back to marketing again, right? So it's probably for anybody, but you can get in the door, which you have to have the entry door.
Got you. Yeah.
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 So that's an interesting point. I haven't done. So do you guys ever work with OpenWorks? Is that something that?
So we actually have our first office was in OpenWorks.
Oh, what?
And we still have a small office there now. We used to have a bigger office, but of course, just they kind of downsized us. But and also like our staff grew. Like when I started, it was only 4 people on the staff. So now I think it's 12 people on the staff now. So we are growing and scaling too. Yeah, for sure.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. So it officially started in 2017, and like the COVID happened. So like how to pivot on that. But also like one thing to your question I just thought about is how healthcare pivoted into like a one-stop shop. If you think about like Chase Brexit,
So that's always what I think about. It's like Chase Brexit is like we're gonna be
listen.
The whole thing.
I used to work there a long time ago, back in my young ages, right? It's got a little gray hair up top, so I'm not learning spring chicken no more. But like their model of just like you can walk in the door, pharmacy, therapist, doctor, all that. How can we create that as for entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs? Right. Just a one-stop shop. Like how can we create a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs? It's like something I like really been brainstorming about and kind of like have some things like written out. But I think like that is the best model you could have, is having a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs.
Well, thank you for the interest time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you. I'm happy you're the star person. Here you go. Here's my. I'll give you 2 cards. Just in case.
Okay, thank you.
You're the star person.
Please make that connection.